Hey everybody, Alex Toman here. I hope you are doing well. I wanted to take some time today and show you guys a really awesome workflow that you can use in Logic Pro, specifically for drum programming. So here in Logic, I've already gone ahead and created a drum kit virtual instrument, but now I'm going to navigate to Window and then choose Show Musical Typing. Now this is a really awesome feature that essentially turns your QWERTY keyboard on your computer into a MIDI controller. So if you don't own a MIDI controller or if you don't have one plugged into your computer at the given moment, this is something that you can use instead to start performing in MIDI data. So notice as I hit keys on my keyboard, it is triggering the sounds associated with those keys on this virtual instrument. So for drums, I want to use a kick drum, I want a snare, and I want a hi-hat, the basic building blocks of a drum beat. So to do that, I need to actually move this keyboard down an octave because right now it's triggering C2 when I hit A, but my kick drum is mapped to C1, which is an octave down. So if I use these Z and X keys here, I can actually go up in octaves or down in octaves. So I'm going to hit Z once to bring my keyboard down an octave. And there we go. There's my kick drum. My snare is going to be on the D. It's the D in terms of the musical key I'm hitting, but it's S on the keyboard. That's a little bit confusing. I understand. And then my hi-hat is always going to be an F-sharp note. And to trigger an F-sharp on my keyboard, I'm hitting the key T. I know, try and keep that all straight in your head. Okay, awesome. So now I have all of the sounds I need. But there are a couple other things I want to set up here to make drum programming as easy as possible. So the first thing I'm going to do here is navigate up to Logic Pro, Preferences, and come down to Recording. So I have two columns here. I have a MIDI column and an audio column. We're just recording MIDI right now, so that's what we're going to focus on right here. And what I can do here is tell Logic how to behave when certain parameters are met or certain settings are met, specifically cycle mode. So I want to tell Logic that whenever cycle mode is turned on, I want the MIDI to merge together. And you'll see what that means here in a little bit. So that's the setting that I'm going to choose here. So now I'm going to turn cycle mode on. And I'm going to do that just by hitting C on my keyboard. And this yellow bar here is cycle mode. Or I can just click up here on my bars and it will make it appear. And I can drag that around if I want or trim it up. So let's make it 2 bars here. What cycle mode does is when I play or record, it will essentially loop this selection. So wherever this yellow border is, Logic is going to continually loop or cycle that selection. Cool. One last thing I want to set up here. I'm going to hit I to open up the inspector for this track. And over here on the inspector where it says quantize, I want to quantize this to 1/8 notes. This is essentially your input quantization method. So as I perform in a performance, Logic is automatically going to quantize my performance. So every time that it loops back or cycles, everything is perfectly in time. So with all that set up, I should be good to go on start recording some drums. So I'm going to show musical typing here. So the reason this works so well is now I can perform just one note at a time. So I can do one record pass that's just the kick drum, another record pass that's just the snare, and one that's just the hi-hat. And Logic will merge all that MIDI data into one performance. So here it goes. Cool. I had a little bit of delay there, but I think that's just because I'm doing some screen capturing at the moment, so it kind of delayed my computer. But that's the idea. That's a really awesome way to just start sketching out some drum parts using MIDI data, even if you don't have a MIDI controller. So I hope that's helpful. Experiment with this kind of stuff whenever you're not in class, because the way you get better at this is to practice it like you would any musical instrument.